Hello, dear listeners. This is your favorite storyteller and hopeless romantic, Gwen Fairfax. You are welcome to my creative heaven where I bring you the best of my imagination, take your mind away from the troubles of the world, and tame your heart with fiction, romance, and drama. This is your first time stopping on this safe space, you are most welcome. I promise that you will love it here. But if you are an oldie but goodie, thank you for your continuous support and love. You are loved and appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Buckle your seatbelts as we take a ride on another amazing episode of your favorite story, Unappreciated Treasure. Enjoy.
After Hank left for the office, Chelsea was in the kitchen trying to finish dinner. She had prepared both Hank's and Rachel's favorite meals. Hank loved steak with asparagus and mashed potato, while Rachel loved macaroni and cheese. After finishing and setting the table, Rachel woke up. What's that smell? Do I smell macaroni and cheese? Rachel's voice came from the corner with a little giggle. Hey, sleepyhead. You are finally awake. Hope you are well rested. You are awake on time. Dinner is ready. Rachel walked straight to the table and dug in. Oh my goodness. How I have missed your cooking, Chels. Chelsea smiled and asked, Is it only my cooking that you have missed? Rachel made puppy eyes and replied, To a smaller extent, yes. But to a larger extent, I missed you more. Both girls laughed as they dug into their dinner. Where is Hank? Why is he not eating with us? Did the big bad wolf Rachel scare him away? Chelsea, with a mouthful of food, responded. Something urgent came up, and he rushed to the office. He will be back later. Rachel raised her eyebrows. But today is Sunday. Are you sure he went to the office? Or maybe to some other woman's house? Chelsea raised her eyes and looked at Rachel with an unpleasant look. Rachel, please stop putting thoughts into my head. I trust my husband. He would never cheat on me nor lie to me. So take back what you said. Rachel knew she had crossed the line. Chels, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. It was just a silly joke. I take it back, okay? Please don't be mad at me. Chelsea just looked at Rachel. She knew she couldn't stay mad at her best friend for long. She let out a heavy sigh. It's okay, Rach. You know, I can't stay mad at you for long. Hank is a really good guy. He literally worships the ground I walk on. He is just too perfect, Rach. It's as if God had seen what I went through in the hands of Kenneth Roberts, and he knew I needed a good man and decided to create Hank for me. Rachel had never seen Chelsea praise anyone like this. Even when Chelsea used to date Ken, though she loved him so much, she never spoke about him with so much tenderness and eyes full of life. She saw how happy her dearest friend was. Rachel had a mischievous look on her face. Then, baby girl, if he is that perfect, what about his equipment? Was it molded by God too? Chelsea gave a mischievous look too and replied, No, baby girl. It was personally handmade and molded by the devil himself. Chelsea shook her shoulders in a cha-cha-cha style and winked. Gosh, one couldn't believe how dirty these two girls' minds were. If and only if Hank knew they were talking about him and his equipment, his ego would probably be above his head and he would definitely be smiling from ear to ear. The two girls couldn't help but laugh like two crazy girls. It had been a long time Chelsea felt this open with anyone. Rachel was indeed her best friend and confidant. So tell me, Rach, how is Wolverton and everyone there? Especially my little nuggets Fiona and Melinda. I am certain Melinda's tummy should be so huge by now. Melinda was pregnant with their second baby, and they had found out it was a baby boy. The day Lionel had told Chelsea, Chelsea was over the moon with so much joy. Her family was slowly but steadily increasing. Well, your little Fiona is a big girl now. Melinda is doing great. I paid them a visit last week, and they were doing great. The girls spent the night talking, laughing, and catching up. Meanwhile, back in Hank's office, Hank, Daniel, and Jeremy were sitting at the table with a stack of documents in front of them. There was a specially created computer which looked like a suitcase. If anyone saw it at first sight, it would look like a suitcase. Daniel, please open bond, Hank said. Daniel nodded and placed his thumb on a little sensor by the side of the computer. When it was opened, there was an artificial intelligence voice which said, Iris recognition required. Daniel passed it over to Hank, who placed his eyes closer to the computer, and a red light passed across his face. The AI voice spoke again. Authentication confirmed. Welcome back, Agent Henry. The screen suddenly came on with so many codes and symbols running through the computer. Hank typed in a code and took out a solid-state drive which had 2 connecting ports. He plugged in one of the ports to Bond, and the other connecting port to Jeremy's computer. Jeremy, I will need you to work on your computer now, Hank said without lifting his eyes from Bond. Okay, buddy. Let's do this. Let's kick some ass, Jeremy replied. Hank pressed a big green button on the computer, and the 2 men started working. They had been at it for almost an hour. It seemed as if someone was trying to crack into the system. Hank, Code Gray, we are being tailed. Someone is trying to crack into the system. Write in the new codes. You have barely 45 seconds, else they will succeed and gain access to Bond. The people were breaking through all the firewalls Jeremy was putting up. Right now, Henry, Jeremy shouted as his forehead was wet with sweat. They were typing and entering codes at the speed of light. If one entered Hank's office, one would think it was a typing competition. The sound of clicking keyboards, which sounded like small rocks being thrown on the floor, could be heard in the room. Hank had a dangerous smile on his face. The face which looked like someone ready to crush all his enemies. Daniel just stood there looking lost. He couldn't understand what Hank and Jeremy were doing. They were so fast in a way that Daniel could feel his head spinning. Dear God, please remind me never to cross these 2 maniacs. Daniel muttered under his breath as he stood there looking in awe how diligently Hank and Jeremy were working together in sync. They succeeded in putting in new codes and saving Bond from external attack. They had spent almost 6 hours trying to fix things, and finally they succeeded. Jeremy placed his hand on Hank's shoulder. You did great, Hank. Hank smiled and responded. No, Jeremy. We did great. Just ensure you send a little present to the intruders. Jeremy had a mischievous smile. He knew exactly what Hank was asking for. He copied an emoticon of a crying caricature and placed it on the screen. On the other side of the city, Randy and a team of high-end hackers were seated in a basement. The room was dimly lit, but it was full of so many different cables connected to different monitors. It looked like a hacker's live-in incubator. There were 2 men seriously entering codes and data on their computers. Boss, I believe you will achieve your goal soon. They seem to have known that we were coming for them, said one of the hackers. Randy, who had taken off the fake mustache and glasses, looked like his real self. He raised his eyebrows and looked at the man coldly. I have paid you so much money. Make sure you get access to that damn computer as soon as possible. The man nodded. Yes, sir. They have put up so many firewalls, but we keep cracking them and passing through. They don't have much time left. In less than 40 seconds, it should be over, and we should have direct access to the main source. Randy's mouth curved up in a devilish smile. Henry Fitzwilliam, your end is near. Before he could complete his words, the 2 hackers were confused about what was happening. Someone else had placed a virus on their system, and their entire system went crashing. Holy shit. What is going on? Someone else has taken over our system. One of the hackers spoke as he was sweating profusely on his forehead. Then suddenly, a crying caricature emerged on the screen with the writing. Do your homework well? Damn it. All our files have been corrupted by a virus. Sir, our system has been taken over, said the other hacker. Randy was so pissed. He started cursing the hackers. Damn you losers. You are all good for nothing. Do I pay you so much money to be losers? He stood up and pushed all the monitors that were on the table before him. Henry, this is not the end. I will ruin you, he spoke with clenched teeth. Back at the penthouse, Chelsea and Rachel had been talking until midnight. The girls bid each other good night and went to their various rooms. When Chelsea woke up, she found out that her husband was spooning her. She checked the time and it was 5 a.m. She turned to see her husband sleeping soundly. His face looked exhausted. Oh, my poor baby. He works so hard, Chelsea thought to herself. She caressed his hair and gently planted a kiss on his forehead. Hank slowly creased his forehead but didn't wake up. His breathing was calm and steady. It shows he was deep in sleep. Chelsea stepped out of bed to prepare for the day. She had to drop Rachel off at the airport before heading to work. She rushed into the shower for a quick bath. After that, she made breakfast for everyone. It was 6 a.m., and they were ready to leave. "Where is Henry?" Rachel asked. "He is still sleeping. He got home so late. I am sure he is exhausted." "Don't worry. I will tell him you said goodbye," Chelsea replied. Rachel just smiled, and they stepped out of the house. Hank fluttered his eyes open. It had been a long time since he slept in and woke up this late. Hank was an early bird. He was usually up by 5 in the morning, then did his morning exercise for an hour, and by 7, he was ready for work. He arrived at their penthouse by 3 in the morning. He was tired and hungry. The last thing he had eaten was breakfast the previous day. He couldn't go to sleep on an empty stomach. Since it was already too late for him to eat anything heavy, he walked over to the kitchen to look for something light to eat. To his surprise, there was a thermos on the countertop and a note. He picked up the note, and it read, "Eat me." There was a heart drawn at the bottom of the note. Hank could not help but smile. His wife knew he wouldn't be able to eat something heavy by the time he got home. This chicken soup was just perfect. It was still quite hot, showing that it hadn't been long since she made it. Hank was both happy and annoyed. Annoyed because his wife had stayed up late to make him this chicken soup, and happy because he had a wife who was very considerate and kind. She had always put his needs before hers. Hank smiled as he ate the chicken soup. After eating and taking a shower, he walked into the room and found his wife sleeping so peacefully. He walked closer to her side, bent down and gently kissed her forehead. He went to the other side of the bed and held her. The tiredness took over him, and he bowed to the call of nature and went to sleep immediately. When he woke up the next morning, it was already 7. He realized that he was alone in bed, and his wife had probably gone to work. He got into the bathroom and took a quick shower. He was already dressed and ready for work. When he walked into the dining hall, he saw that Chelsea had his breakfast ready. He sat on the table and checked the time. It was 7:45 already. Thank God he still had a few minutes to call his wife before she started work. He dialed Chelsea's number, and she picked up almost immediately. "Hey, hubby? You are finally awake. Hope my big baby slept well." Hank just smiled and responded. "Hey, beautiful? Yes, I did. Just that I got up and didn't find my gorgeous wife." Chelsea apologized. "I am so sorry, honey. I had to get up quite early because I had to see Rachel off at the airport. You were sleeping so peacefully, and I couldn't bear disturbing you." Rachel sent her regards, and she said, "I should thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for the breakfast, baby. I loved it. Have you arrived at your office already?" Hank asked. "Yes, hubby. I got here 5 minutes ago. I am alone at the office now, but I'm certain Cleopatra and Erica will be here any moment from now." "Are you on your way to the office?" Chelsea asked. "Not yet. I still have a couple of things to round up with at home. I won't be going to the office until 10. I have an interview with Hilltop Publishing today at 11 a.m. Chelsea was surprised. Hank had never granted any interview to any media or publishing house before. He had always been an enigma, very mysterious and not known by many. "Really? I thought you never granted interviews. What happened this time around?" Hank gave a throaty chuckle. "My beautiful wife. You are really so cute when you act all surprised. Like they say, change is something that is constant. By the way, the interview is going to be in print form and no picture of me. I am just doing this to help my cousin Daniel with the annual robotics summit, which comes up next week since I won't be present." Chelsea raised her eyebrows. "Why won't you be there?" Chelsea asked. "Well, the reason is I want Daniel to be at the front line. He needs to handle these big projects on his own. This is his very first summit. I know he can handle it. I won't always be there to babysit him. So I want him to learn how to deal with lions and tigers in the business world. Besides, I have a very important meeting on that same day with some of our foreign partners." Hank really loved his cousin. One could see that Hank was trying his best to ensure that Daniel was a great business tycoon like him. When they were young, Hank's father, Clement Fitzwilliam, had always asked Hank to take care of Daniel. Though their age difference was just 3 years, Hank had always acted like that ancient big brother to Daniel. When Daniel started as the head of Maximilian Holdings, he made a couple of mistakes. But under the wings of Hank, he had learned a lot and had become better at making decisions related to Maximilian Holdings. Wow, honey, you are indeed an amazing brother. We are all so blessed and privileged to have you in our lives. Thank you for all you do, Hank. I mean it. Hank just smiled. Anyway, baby, I am sure your colleagues will soon be arriving. Let me prepare and go to the office. I will see you at home in the evening, okay? I love you. I love you too, Pookie Bear, Chelsea replied as she blew him a kiss. Unfortunately for Chelsea, Cassandra, Miles, and Nicole walked in and heard her saying the last words. I love you. Chelsea? And who was that person on the phone you were serenading with the I love you and all that? Was that your sugar daddy? Cassandra asked as she walked towards Chelsea and leaned on her table with a belittling look plastered on her face. Chelsea, who had been in a good mood earlier, suddenly changed to a cold look. And what has that got to do with you, Cassandra? You and I aren't friends enough for me to discuss my private life with you. And if you don't want me to pounce on you like a tornado, you had better return to your seat. Else you won't even know how you died. Cassandra staggered backward. Gosh, Chelsea, you are such a barbarian. That was a simple question. You don't have to be so vile. Geez, Cassandra retorted as she retreated from Chelsea's desk. Chelsea had really changed. If it was the timid Chelsea before, she would enter her cocoon and not say anything just for peace to reign. But this new Chelsea, she was different. She had vowed never to be disrespected ever again. The little quiet lamb had become a wild lioness. Back at the Fitzwilliam Group, Hank was sitting in his office, in his well-tailored signature gray suit. Always looking neat and elegant, Mr. Fitzwilliam. The interviewer from Hilltop Publishing is here, said Gina. You can send her in, Hank replied without lifting his head from his computer. A few seconds later, a tall blonde lady who was dressed professionally walked in. Hello, Mr. Fitzwilliam. I am Vera Olson from Hilltop Publishing. Thank you for granting me audience. Hank just nodded and signaled with his hand for her to sit down. This was the very first time ever that the famous Henry Fitzwilliam, that people had only heard of and had never seen, would be granting any form of interview. He was so mysterious that sometimes people thought he was just an illusion. So when Gina contacted Hilltop and asked them to come interview Henry Fitzwilliam, for a minute they thought it was a prank call. Then, when Gina gave them the date, time, and venue, they were all over the moon. They were going to be the very first media house to interview the great Henry Fitzwilliam. This meant being in the spotlight and getting first-hand information directly from the omnipotent of the business world. Okay, Miss Olson. You can go ahead with the interview, Hank said. The interviewer went ahead, asking so many questions regarding Hank's business and all that. Hank answered them as politely as he could. Mr. Fitzwilliam, this is the first time you are granting an interview. Most people have only heard of the great Henry Fitzwilliam, but have never seen him before. So what made you change your mind to finally let the private side of you out to the public? Miss Olson, there is something in life called change. And I believe it is one of the most constant things in life. A little change here and there is good sometimes, Hank replied categorically. Okay. Mr. Fitzwilliam, there is one question that has been running in the minds of so many people out there, including mine. Vera gave a little chuckle. Do you have any special woman in your life aside from your grandmother? It is rumored that you have never been seen with a woman before and that you might be gay. How true are these rumors? Hank knew this question was definitely going to be asked. He gave a throaty chuckle and threw back the question at the interviewer. Miss Vera Olson, do you think I am gay? He looked directly into the eyes of the interviewer. Vera's face was flushed red. She stuttered as she replied. Mr. Fitzwilliam, I don't think you are gay, but our audience, including myself, would like to hear from you. Hank adjusted his glasses with his index finger. No, I am not gay. I am actually married to the most beautiful woman in the world and I love her so much. Vera almost fell out of her chair. She couldn't believe Hank was married. She had come there with the intention of captivating Hank's heart. What? You are married? She asked with a shaky voice as if she was about to cry. Hank nodded and raised his left hand. There was a ring on his ring finger. The interviewer almost cried. But she soon realized herself and acted professionally. Congratulations, Mr. Fitzwilliam. So where is your wife? And why haven't we heard about her? Can we at least know her name? Hank smiled as he spoke about Chelsea. My wife is based in the United States. She is a very private person and doesn't like being in the public's eye. I can't tell you her name because I wouldn't want the paparazzi harassing her. As for her name, I call her my mountain fairy. Hank had intentionally mentioned a different country in order to divert attention away from Chelsea. He wanted her to live a normal and peaceful life free from paparazzi. Even if they were spotted in public, no one would ever suspect them. Until she was ready and prepared to face the world as his wife, he would protect her interest at all times. The interviewer was defeated. She knew she couldn't press further. Her plans of seduction had flown out through the window. Immediately, Hank said he was married. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Fitzwilliam. We have come to the end of our interview. Vera Olson stood up, shook Hank's hand and left. Back at Maximilian Holdings, Chelsea hadn't gone for lunch. She wasn't feeling hungry, and thus stayed in the office doing some work on her computer. The whole staff canteen was in chaos. The internet was buzzing with the interview from Henry Fitzwilliam, and the fact that he was married. All the women who had been crushing on him were broken. They couldn't imagine that he was married. Oh my goodness. Did the famous Henry Fitzwilliam just say he was married? I am so envious of whoever his wife is. She is probably an American model or an actress. Do you think his wife could be Lupita or Gwen Fairfax, the famous model? One of the ladies in the canteen asked. Erica and Cleopatra knew who Hank's wife was. But why did he say she was based in America? Then they remembered what Chelsea had told them. Nicole, who read the news, died and rose several times. It seemed as if that information had shattered her heart totally and completely. Hank couldn't be married. If he wanted to marry someone, it should have been her. As he got up and went to the bathroom, she couldn't help but cry. She almost cried her eyeballs out. I can't and won't give up on you, Henry. You might be married for all I care. Your wife lives in America. But I will ensure that, here in London, you will be mine and mine alone. Nicole thought to herself. She cleaned her face, added some powder, and walked back to the office as if nothing had happened. Chelsea hadn't seen the news yet. Cassandra, who always brings in fresh info, walked in and went straight to Nicole's table. Nicole, is it true that Mr. Fitzwilliam is married and his wife is based in America? When Chelsea heard this, she raised her head from her computer. What? Did Hank announce our marriage? She thought to herself. She took out her phone to see what had been posted online. All the blogs, newspapers, and media were buzzing with the news of Henry Fitzwilliam and his bride. Her heart fluttered when she read the part where he said he was married to the most beautiful woman in the world, and he called her his mountain fairy. Hank had deliberately said she was based in America so that no one would ever suspect her. Hank was truly considerate and very kind. Cleopatra, who had been waiting for the opportunity to rub this fact in Nicole's face, said sarcastically, Nicole, I thought you said you were being wooed by Mr. Fitzwilliam. So all this time, you have been lying to everyone. So if you were lying, it means that he didn't send you those flowers on Valentine's Day. You are truly pathetic and delusional. She gave another mocking cackle and went back to what she was doing. Nicole was mortified. She felt as if the ground should just open up and swallow her entire being. Listen, Cleopatra. I don't have to explain myself to you. Whatever happens between Mr. Fitzwilliam and me is none of your business. Nicole didn't know what else to say. She felt so ashamed after being caught lying. She turned and saw Chelsea walking out of the office. Chelsea headed to the stairwell to call Hank. She looked around and saw that she wasn't being followed. She changed her mind and dialed Gina's number. Gina picked up almost immediately. Hello, Mrs. Fitzwilliam. Chelsea chuckled and responded. Hello, Gina. It is really strange when you call me that. Just call me Chelsea, okay? Gina, on the other hand, replied. But ma'am, I can't address you casually. You are my boss's wife, and I am supposed to address you with all the respect that I have. Chelsea didn't want to insist. Okay. You can call me whichever way makes you comfortable. Please, what time will my husband get off work today? Gina went through Hank's schedule and replied. Ma'am, he has a meeting which ends at 5 p.m. After that, he should be able to go home. Chelsea smiled. Perfect. Gina, I would like to surprise my husband at the office after work. Please, don't tell him I will be coming, okay? Gina knew this was going to make her boss happy. Yes, ma'am. So the best time for you to come will be 5:30 p.m. Thank you, Gina. You are simply the best. Chelsea ended the call. Gina, on the other hand, was a little surprised. No one had ever said she was the best. Although she worked with a stern man and was always in a fast-paced environment, she was still a woman and would sometimes love to hear such compliments too. She just smiled. It was the end of the day, and Chelsea drove to the Fitzwilliam Group. When she got there, she went straight to Hank's private elevator. Gina had asked that Chelsea be left to go to the CEO's office whenever she came, so no one asked Chelsea any questions. When she got to Hank's office, Gina was standing in front of the office. Hey, Gina. Please let no one disturb us for a while, okay? Gina nodded with a smile. Chelsea gently knocked on the door. A cold voice said, Come in. Chelsea gently opened the door and walked in. Hank, who was concentrating on his computer, spoke without looking at the person. Speak, Chelsea with her soft voice answered. Is that how you respond to the woman you claim to love? Or am I not welcome? Hank was stunned for a minute. Was his mind playing tricks on him? He raised his head and saw his wife standing before him. Baby? Chelsea smiled and walked closer to him, bent down and planted a kiss on his cheek. She looked at him seductively. I missed my husband, so I came all the way here to see him and have some ice cream. She lifted the bag of ice cream she held in her hand. Chelsea wanted to be spontaneous. She had always heard Rachel saying that in order to make your relationship more spicy and exciting, do spontaneous things when the other partner least expect. Hank couldn't believe his eyes. Had his wife come all the way to his office just to have ice cream? This was ridiculous. Chelsea walked across the table and sat down. She took out the ice cream from the bag and placed it on the table. It was caramel creme brulee, Hank's favorite flavor. Hank just sat there watching what his wife was doing. He was amused and amazed at the same time. Chelsea wore a white shirt tugged in a brown knee-level skirt. She undid the first 3 buttons of her shirt. Her cleavage was visible. Wow, it is quite warm in here. I think I need to cool off. She seductively put up her hair in a messy bun, and her collarbone and neck were exposed. Hank's Adam's apple bopped up and down as he watched his wife. If Chelsea's aim was to seduce Hank, she definitely was doing it, because Hank was more than 100% captured in her web. Baby? Are you trying to seduce me? Hank asked. Chelsea didn't respond, but scooped some of the ice cream and licked it. Gosh, this was killing Hank. Chelsea looked at Hank and licked her lips. With a smoky voice, she asked, What do you think, hubby? This was it. Hank had reached his limit. He couldn't hold back. No man in his rightful senses would see his wife acting like this and not be aroused. Hank marched forward like a hungry lion and scooped his wife up in a princess-style way. He kissed her hungrily. You this little demoness. You sure know how to wake a sleeping dog. I will definitely punish you for this. Chelsea smiled and bit his earlobe. I think I would love the punishment. He carried her into the inner room for a Royal Rumble match. Will Chelsea stand Hank's punishment? Or will it be a sweet, sweet punishment? To know what happens next on the series, keep listening to your favorite series, Unappreciated Treasure, as a new episode will be coming soon. Thank you for listening, and toodles.